And Roosevelt disagreed. And when he was swept into office in 1932, along with the Democratic Congress, and he sustained that coalition with an even bigger majority in 1936, you'd think that the partisan division was over, but it wasn't. Who said no to the New Deal? Supreme Court. And that's very surprising to some people when they learn it the first time. Think about how is the Supreme Court organized? We think of the Supreme Court as being the court of Brown versus Board of Education, so we often think that the court is really out there, progressive, well ahead of the national majority, but technically it's the opposite. Why is it more commonly the case the court is actually dominated by old thinking rather than new thinking? Right. Well, where did they come from? They didn't come from Roosevelt yet. They came from the Republican administrations of the 20s. They are literally built for conservative views. They're trying to hold back because that was the constitutional order they came from. So, in the first set of decisions between 1933 and 1937, the court said no, 5-4, 5-4, 5-4. So Roosevelt got angry. And what did he do, or try to do? Pack the court. So that's where that came from. Roosevelt said, you know what's wrong with you people? You're too old to do your job. And most of the members of the court were over 70. And he said, he said this out loud, which is shocking. He said, the problem with being old is that you don't know how infirm you are. You're suffering from delusions that you can keep up with your work. So for every justice over 70, we're going to add another justice. And that means I get 6 justices. Does that sound strange? Now, thankfully for the Constitution, can presidents have that power? No, it's Congress that actually decides the number of the justices. He wasn't trying to kick anybody out, he just wanted to add the new ones. So strangely enough, this was received with very mixed emotions by people who really liked the New Deal but thought that was an odd suggestion. So this is, of course, a historical mystery, but this proposal did do something to the court. What did it do? Instead of 5-4 against the president, miraculously, it started to be 5-4 in favor of the president. And so people, of course, don't know if one justice started flipping because he feared for the legitimacy of the court. But that's the argument. And unlike the Plessy versus Brown, 1896 to 1954, this was, oh, we changed our minds between 1933 and 1937. Or between 1935 and 1937. So you can imagine that this made the court look very odd.